we actually have power to influence our circumstances.
Who is Fery?
The current Fery is still a 10, 12-year-old child who just has a bit more money to have fun. Do unto others the way you would want others to do unto you.
You are the most creative entrepreneur I have ever met.
I'm of course upset like anyone.
Welcome. Today I've got Fery Kaszoni from Search Intelligence. Pleased to meet you.
Good to be here, James.
I've got the pleasure in interviewing you. I'm going to dig deep.
Yeah, go for it. I'm looking forward to it.
Obviously, you've broke into the scene over the last few years into the SEO industry, revolutionised digital PR, many have said. But who is Fery? Where have you come from? What's your backdrop?
The current Fery is still a child. That's how I consider myself. I'm still a child, like a 10, 12-year-old child who just has a bit more money to have fun. And instead of playing with little cars, now I'm playing with, software systems and the business, right? I come from a very poor, background, of course, from, Romania. I'm a Hungarian from Romania, but I moved to the UK 12 years ago. I've always been a tech geek, so I love technology. I think because of my upbringing, I had very few, options. We had no TV for many periods of times. Sometimes for like a year we didn't have a TV, so I had to escape somewhere. Therefore, I was reading, electronics books, and I was reading lots of, technology books, and I got a passion for technology. And I think this passion for technology is what also drives the business today, because I always want to solve problems with technology, with software, and with systems. I think that's where it stems from. So, yep, I'm still that child, the 12-year-old child who kind of feels almost like I've got toys now to play.
Do you think because you've not then had the luxury of having what some Western kind of countries would have with having a TV and stuff like that, do you think that's what gives you your get up and go and your drive? Because something that I've found since we've shared masterminds and stuff together, you've got this motivation and drive. It's very few other people that have got that get up and go. And if it is that, how do you try to motivate the team to try to have similar kind of motivation than yourself?
I think it definitely stems from there. But by the way, our neighbors all had TVs, and everyone would have It was just our family who are like, we were very, very poor, like the poorest in like that location where we lived.
Yeah.
Because I had no father and nobody was kind of earning money in the family. So I think that thing, when I've seen other people, all the kids going playing on their, Sega, on their TV console game, I didn't have that luxury as a neighbor. So yeah, I had to find drive in something else, and I was bored, and I think it definitely stems from there. It definitely stems from me having to reinvent myself as a child to not be depressed or like sad. Yeah. I had to find some drive, and I think that drive is coming from, like, the current drive as well is coming from there, because I know when you put your mind to something, I know that many things are possible if you just keep on going. And I think it stems from that, scarcity that we had in the childhood. Yeah.
Slightly off topic, you say about the technology, and you said you read a lot of books. A lot of people kind of always ask the question of like, what's your favorite books and stuff like that. So like last night we was in the Indian, and you banged in and managed to knock a pint over someone, and you quickly killed him with kindness and said, "Oh, look, I'll get you a meal. I apologise," and stuff like that. And afterwards, when I spoke to you, you were speaking then about books, and you spoke about The Secret and The Law of Attraction and killing them with kindness. Now, as we finished our meal, the guy, because you was that kind, wanted to pay for our meal, and it completely almost flipped around.
It was crazy.
Like, is that? Would you say is that your favorite book? Is there any other books that kind of influenced you like that? Because how you quickly managed to turn that around.
The guy was angry.
And the guy was angry.
Yeah.
He was very angry. And you managed to quickly turn it around. That at the end of it, like I said, he was almost like, "I'll get your meal." Like, is that as The Secret, or has any other books influenced you on that?
I think up until 2008-ish, I was kind of lost in life because I didn't know why things were happening. In life, when you don't know, some things are happening, and you ask like, why are these things happening to me? Why do I always have these, things happening to me? And I didn't realize that it was actually me. who was like creating the circumstances for those things to happen to me because of the way I was thinking, of the way I was behaving with others, the way I was, crafting my character was not intentional. So my personality was not intentionally built, but it was left to wander around in the wind. And how do you build character? Of course, it's with your thoughts and with your intentions and with your emotions as well. In 2008, I had a blog. I said, I'm going to allow my blog to be public and I will allow everyone else to write on my blog. So what I've done is I went to other bloggers and I said, hey, do you want to contribute to this blog? It's growing fast. We'll have like 100 bloggers community where everyone can post interesting things. And because, we'll have lots of links from other bloggers as well, then, your, content will rank higher on Google. So this was after I discovered the power of Blogspot with the prior article that I've written about, people finding water on moon. So I discovered that and I said, this is crazy. I'm going to build another blog, but this time I'm going to let other bloggers to write on this Blogspot blog. And one of the guys was actually local. One of the 100 bloggers who contributed to our blog was a local in my city. And he made me a visit. And he was, fascinated by, how I built a community of 100 bloggers in a few months. He said oh, you must, know the book, The Secret, the movie, The Secret just came out not long ago. I was like, no, I'm not aware of it. And then he introduced me to it. I went into my room that night and I watched the movie and I was in a euphoria. And I know now thinking of it is just a basic concept because there's so many other things that I found after that. But when I've seen that movie, I was in a euphoric state for weeks. I felt like I found something that has not been revealed to me before. We actually have power to influence our circumstances and not by, physically forcing others, but mentally forcing ourselves to think in a different way. To instead of always thinking of, or what bad things can happen to us, we can flip it around and we can think what good things can actually happen to us. And whenever you're doing something to others, and of course, this is in the Bible and in every philosophical book, every religious book, do unto others the way you would want others to do unto you. I just started applying these concepts from, the Secret and of course, lots of other, books I've discovered after. The Master Key System by Charles F. Haanel. It's so good. It explains how the conscious thinking trains the subconscious mind. Yeah. So after a while, you start thinking automatically. You don't have to force yourself to think in a certain way. Initially, you have to because the subconscious mind has to train. The conscious mind has to train intentionally the subconscious mind to think in a certain way. But after a while, it gets you just you walk out of the room and flip the switch. It's going to be automatic. So the Master Key System, of course, Think and Grow Rich, The Science of Getting Rich, and the one small book that had the most impact, I think, initially, and even now, I'll give you a copy. I think the copy is there. Yeah. It's As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. It summarizes everything very, very well in a very small book. It changed, my life. It did change my life completely.
So on that, with regards to character building, mindset, the law of attraction, manifestation, stuff like that, which is kind of what The Secret and stuff like that is about, and the thinking side of things. As you started to grow, obviously you started out and you went freelance. You've got a couple of members of staff, and now you've got nearly 100 members of staff. Along that journey, there's people which we've spoke about, which we absolutely hate when someone says, "Oh, you're lucky," right? But during the period of your growth, people say you need to spend 10,000 hours of practice to become an expert, and the failing. How bumpy was the ride when you first started out, and how bumpy has been the career of, how many times have you failed? Do you kind of embrace failure? Because obviously some people out there, they don't want to fail and they think that they can't push the boundaries. What's your thoughts on actual failing to then progress?
I'm sometimes almost pushing myself towards the likelihood of failure because I know it puts pressure on me to innovate as a human, as a character, but also as a company. Yeah. So sometimes I deliberately spend more money than what we make so that I push myself to innovate our process and systems and our operations to make more money and be more efficient. it's great. That's why, all the studio and everything, like we could just not have, lots of expenses and make really good profits, but I'm almost deliberately doing it so that, I'm really being forced to innovate and to just figure it out. So I embrace failure. I want like micro failures. I want, problems. I want even competition, right? I love it when somebody tries to, even do shady things to our company. Like, oh my God, we love it. So I embrace failure. I want to be pushed towards almost failure. But throughout my career, this career didn't start, of course, in 2020, like the SEO career, or the business career started when even when I was a child. So I'm not sure whether I talked about this in any podcast, but my first business was when I was like a 10-year-old child.
Right.
And it was a very, very interesting business. So we had neighbors who were like travelers, traveler community. And we had lots of, traveler and neighbors in the street where we lived, but they couldn't read. But they loved the Spanish soap operas. And they said, if I translate them, I read them the subtitles so they can understand what's happening, they will pay me, like some pennies. As a child, I went in their house and I was reading all the soap operas, the subtitles, and they gave me money so that we could buy bread. Thinking back now, I was like, that's crazy. That was my actual first business.
Yeah.
Like reading subtitles for, people to understand soap operas. But then the first real business I had was the body shop. So I've had an automotive body shop, like a paint shop. In 2000, I think 2009, 2010-ish, I started with like 50 euros. And I had no money to start it, so I was renting like a almost like a cheap warehouse there. I said to the guy, "Look, I'm gonna, let me work in this warehouse of yours, and I'll pay you." He was kind of a friend. Even now we talk when I go back to Transylvania, and I started there. Like it was dusty. I had to polish the paint all the time, and then I started renting a bigger unit, and at the end I had 8 employees, and it was great. I had good marketing. I mean, my marketing was I just had to walk through the mall and meet people who already knew me from it, because my career was actually paint sprayer.
Yeah.
So people would see me, "Oh, Fery, I've got a scratch. I've got a scratch on my car. It's good that we meet now. When can we book it in?" It's almost like a LinkedIn post. Every time I post on LinkedIn and people see me on LinkedIn, like, "Oh, Fery, I need a campaign." It was the same, but just walking on the mall is like a smaller scale. And I was a great, technician, a great paint sprayer, but I was not a good businessman. So I couldn't really make profits. I couldn't really make money. The money.
So how has that evolved? How have you managed to kind of move from there to be better at business? It's just practice? Just practice. So I sold that business. I sold it. It means for almost nothing. I just gave it away to a friend. He paid I think 2,000 euros, something like that. And then he took it over, and then I moved to the UK. And then I, was painting cars here as well. So that was a failure, because I moved to the UK with 5,000 euros in that back in 2012. But in the evenings, when I moved to the UK, I was, learning coding, I was learning SEO. I kept on developing that side whilst, making a living with painting cars. In 2017, I rented this office. I quit my full-time jobs. And that's why I said, I rent the office. And within 3 months, I'll buy SUVs for my wife, because now I'm a full-time business owner. Never, it didn't happen, of course. We're the money runs out. We have these expenses, those expenses, tools. I'm a good technician. I'm a good, I can do an SEO audit. I was selling SEO audits back then, when I had the full time. But I was also coding. So I was doing coding, SEO audits, guest blogs. I was reaching out to bloggers and building links and forum links and content creation. I was doing everything, even accounting and bookkeeping. So that was kind of the first experience of a real almost feeling like a real failure, because months were passing. The SUVs for my wife did not happen. Years were passing. Yeah.
And we just ran out of money every month.
So within that, obviously a lot of people say you win or you learn. There's no such thing as losing. Like, especially in business, you keep trying to push the boundaries and push the boundaries. And you said that helped you nowadays to kind of, you're still pushing the boundaries now with regards to innovation. There's a classic saying, if you don't innovate, you're going to evaporate.
Yeah. And
you're at the forefront, and even though you're at the forefront of the digital PR kind of agencies, you're still trying to drive this forward. Do you kind of allow within the team, obviously there's a lot of KPIs and there's a lot of systems and processes set up, but do you allow certain members within the team to push the boundaries for them to kind of test the processes and systems for them to fail and almost allow them to embrace failure with the staff? Obviously you don't want all members of staff failing, if you got what I mean, but like, is there stuff within there that you're having trying to people to break it, to try and improve upon it, to innovate further?
Yeah, and I actually give free hand to people. Like I let people make decisions. We have some team members on at the company who are encouraged to just take ownership and just do whatever you want. Like just break things. Let me know. Don't even let me know. Sometimes it's take this and just find a way. If it breaks, it's fine. And I even said this week to one of the team members, hey, don't worry, I'm on your team. If it breaks, then we are together and I'm with you. So I'll support you if something breaks, if something goes wrong, it's fine. I'm gonna have your back internally. So I really encourage, because that's, as I said, that's what got me, to finally, get it right. So finally get how things work and how to have a business that makes money. Again, I think the thing that many people don't realize is that having a business that makes money is simple. There's just one thing that they have to really crack well, and the rest will usually follow. So I was saying, I was coming up, 2017, full-time business owner, until 2020, like zero profit not zero profit, zero revenue for me as a business owner, because we always had to, spend the money on this, spend the money on that. There was no money, the sales were not coming in. I had to, also sell, right? So I spent a big chunk of my time going out and, emailing, other SEO agencies saying, hey, do you need, software development? Because I was doing software development, of course. And I still do, I love software. But the thing that made me realize how, a good business should be run is I've learned that everything is sales in a business. Everything is money.
Talking about sales, because you still do a lot of the calls now. Every time I meet you, you're super pumped, you're super energetic. Where do you get that from? Like, is it just within your DNA? You say you still feel like a child. Do you drink a lot of coffee? Like, is there nutrition? Like, where do you get your drive and your energy and you get up and go from? Like, because when you jump on a call and you can just feel that energy.
I think you can feel it downstairs,
like,
right?
Yeah. So it's like, what you doing? Like, what's the secret recipe, if there is one?
As you said it well, I still feel like a child. And that's why, I'm allowing myself to wear some wigs in some videos, as because I still feel like a child, and I don't feel any pressure. Like, I don't feel like I should, conform to being like a nice. I mean, I love a nice suit, of course, but conform to being like this, what the status quo says, like, oh, this is how an adult should be. Maybe we should not kill the child from within as we grow up. We should allow ourselves to be, children. And I think I still consider myself as a child, but of course I take lots of supplements as well. I think as we grow and as we as we become adults, and after 28 years old or like 30 years old, we start becoming complacent and we start becoming like, oh, I'm not going to do any effort to do like physical effort. As men, especially, the testosterone level starts dropping significantly after 30 years of age. So as you hit 30, your testosterone level starts dropping, and what drives the male energy? It's testosterone, right? That's the energy, like that's the strength hormone. And I realized I have to just do whatever it takes to keep that as high as possible for a very long period. So I'm 40 now, but I've done a test last year, and I had the testosterone level. I mean, I don't know, it sounds crazy. Testosterone levels of like a 22 years old, almost like a teenager, because I optimize I try to sleep 8 hours a day. I take lots of, vitamins, minerals, supplements. I eat, lots of protein. I exercise whenever I can. Not as much as I should, but I try to optimize. I try to take supplements that encourage, a healthy, male hormone production, and that really keeps me, energetic, because that's really that's where the energy comes from. I've even seen on Twitter some SEO. I'm not going to say the name because maybe he doesn't want me to talk, but you know him. He also, he's actually doing like a TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, which is different, but it still achieves the same goal of, keeping, as you go through your age, you should optimize your hormones if you want to keep on being energetic and, driven. So I think that's a big thing for me to optimize diet. I eat only twice a day. I eat at 12, 1 o'clock, and then I eat at 7 o'clock, and that's it. I'm not having snacks all the time. So I try to keep my insulin level kind of steady throughout the day.
So you basically do intermittent fasting?
Yes.
But you told me that your mum introduced you to intermittent
my
fasting.
mom, exactly. So I used to do intermittent fasting since I was a child, because my mom introduced this in our family. Of course, not on purpose, but because we didn't have money to eat. And sometimes we only had potatoes once in a day and nothing else, because we were very poor. So I've kind of used to intermittent fasting. And whenever people say, "Oh, I cannot, go on without food for 2 days," I think you can. I've done it lots of times, even when I was a child. You will be okay. It's actually going to be helpful.
So one that you're talking about stuff like biohacking, what a lot of them do. So nutrition being a massive part of it, sleep, lifestyle and stuff like that. And you're a father. So how do you manage to try to balance switching off? How do you manage to balance the work life, what people call the work life balance? How do you manage to kind of integrate that into your life, that you've got a very successful business, but you want to be a really good dad? How do you manage to balance being both a good dad, but also great at business?
Yeah, that's a difficult, challenge. And it's not, I've not cracked that completely. What I do with the families, whenever there's school holidays, we are always traveling abroad. So we are always on holiday when it's like a holiday. We always try to go away and spend lots of time with the kids. Sometimes I'm not even opening the laptop when I'm on holiday with the kids. I just message on the phone, and I usually don't really take many calls. Even if we go away, let's say in the summer, we'll be away for 6 weeks doing school holidays. So we'll probably visit 4 countries. So I try to give them time whenever I can. During the non-holiday season, I'm less available, unfortunately, for them. I never work on Sundays. So Sundays are not even messages, nothing for clients. I just completely focus on family. So we cook in the morning, or my daughter always makes cupcakes in the morning, and I make them the breakfast. And I try to spend every week at least 1 full day with them, and to my best, knowledge and capabilities, I'm trying to give them as good time as possible. But it's hard. It's hard because if, let's say, I take 2 days out doing weekdays, then I feel guilty, and I feel, I've abandoned the chaos at the company, and then I kind of feel guilty. But I try to make it up on Sundays.
So what about as a father? What type of father would you say you are? Are you a pushy father? You're trying to push them to be the best of their abilities they can be? Or you're more the quite a young age, you want them to have more of the fun side of things than try and be a pushy father? Or very stringent? Where would you kind of position yourself? And what would you like them to be? I know it doesn't really matter because it's their choice, but what do you want them to be when they're older, right? Or do you want them obviously to choose their own direction in life? Do you want them to take over the empire of Search Intelligence? Or do you feel like the rich parents make weak kids kind of scenario? So obviously you've come from a lower kind of quality, let's say, a background where you couldn't have a meal, you couldn't have breakfast, dinner and tea every single night, but that's give you the get up and go drive. Do you worry that if you spoiled the kids, then that could take that get up and go out of the kids? How do you feel about fatherhood and stuff like that with the kids?
The statement of rich kids can be spoiled, I think is very true. And it can be true even for maybe my kids are going to be spoiled. Hopefully not, but they can be spoiled. I mean, we are not rich, right? We are not wealthy to have millions of worth of properties and everything. We just have a business that generates some cash. So we're not kind of rich, but I think it's a comfortable life that they have, and they never have to, think about prices or so on. And if they don't have any problems in life, or any problems that would require their character to be better, that's where the spoiled kid comes from. That's what I think. We are spoiled when we are not forced to become a better human. So if the kids have everything they want, like they think about something and they have it, then they don't have to develop themselves as good humans, as good communicators, as good good people who attract other good people around them, so all of them can be successful. That, I think that's where the spoiled kid comes from, and that's where bad character is being kind of nurtured, instead of just getting them to have challenges in life that they have to figure out themselves. And they have to figure out, how do you figure out challenges? Well, just figure out yourself first, because that's where it all starts from, right? So if they are not going to be forced to figure out themselves as a human, that's how I think they will be spoiled. So I'm trying to work on this, to give them challenges, to even when they climb a tree, it's like, oh, I cannot climb this, like, no, let's go, let's do it. One more step, and then just encourage them to slowly, just bit by bit, become better and better at anything they do. They do the piano, and then sometimes, oh, I don't want to do. I hate this because they cannot play some notes that they that's there. But they're always like, we don't give up. We never give up, right? And I'm always trying to tell them, just let's keep on doing it one more time, because you've done this other thing, and when you kept on pushing, you managed to do it. You can do it the same with the piano. Let's play it one more time. So just getting them to understand that the difficult parts of anything are not permanent, and they will become better with practice, and they will become easier with practice. So I think to instill this philosophy into their mindset, that's what I'm trying to work on.
So when you then talk about, let's say, the challenges that you kind of put the kids in, and obviously you keep trying to get them to evolve and improve, back onto Search Intelligence, and you've got challenges of competition. So you're up there, you're at the forefront, people wanting to copy everything of what you do. What do you think about competition? Do you embrace competition? Do you like it? Like, does it annoy you that people are out there to kind of copy what you're doing now? Or do you thrive off it? And does it make you yourself want that competition for you to keep climbing, even though you're at the top, to keep innovating? What's your thoughts on competition within the digital PR industry?
So initially, when I see, things like, oh, somebody copied, our website, or copied, text from our website, and copied even, text from our invoices that we sent them previously, and they put it on their website, I'm of course upset like anyone. But after that, kind of that moment passes, I just want to say thank you for all the competition who, is copying us, or like who's trying to, grab a market share, because it's a business, right? It's a football field. And I want to say thank you, because that's what's pushing me to think of how can we now become a monopoly? How can we show them that we can be, we can be better? How can we build better systems? How can we, create a service so unique and powerful that even if they would copy everything that's on the forefront, they would never be able to replicate as a service. So if we didn't have that competition, then we would not invest, money into what we invest in, like building everything that we build in the back end that's actually not visible. That's where I'm trying to, just embrace competition. I love it, because they just slap me in the face. Like every time somebody does like something that, I don't like, and maybe it's not even unethical. Maybe it's just, oh, they want to, undercut us with prices. Like, yeah, initially it's like upsetting, but after, like, yes, we need this. We need, aggressive competitors, because otherwise we'll be just, the Nokia. We'll be just like, happy, we're good. And then we'll become complacent. Yeah. And we are not going to be the wolf that climbs the mountain, that's hungry, that wants, to go for blood, but we'll be the wolf who relaxes on top of the mountain. We don't want to be that. We want to be like the hungry, going for blood wolf that climbs the mountain all the time. We never want to stop and, just relax at the top.
In my opinion, you've revolutionized the digital PR industry. You've made digital PR sexy for the SEO community. So how have you managed to do that? And how have you managed to break in to all these SEO experts, all these SEO agencies that was obsessed with do follow links? And now you've come along and now made it an essential part of people's SEO campaigns.
One thing I have to address, I always say this, it wasn't us who made digital PR sexy. I actually got inspired by other agencies. And it was Rise S7. I always say, Rise S7 and Carrie Rose made, digital PR sexy. It was like booming in like 2020 and 2021. And that's where, digital PR became like really sexy. It was like, everyone wanted that. I got lots of inspiration from there. Like Reboot Online, Shai and, James from Digital Loft, everyone, like they were like my inspiration. And I, I even have admiration even now for all of them. Like I enjoy talking about, good things about them. Even we went to Search Norwich and I mentioned one of, Reboot's campaigns. I like it because I admire them. But what we've done is because I'm I've been doing link building before. We didn't make it sexy. We just made it available to the masses, I think. I think that's what we've done. But also what we've done is we just educated people how they can do it themselves. So we made it available as a service at a lower price with a different model, like simplified, model. We popularize it by teaching others how to do it, step by step, sharing our press releases, sharing everything that we do granularly so that people can actually go and replicate it. We made the service available to the masses with lower prices and links guarantee and so on. We helped thousands of other people actually earn links themselves. And I think that's where it became popular because many other people started doing it. Many other people started posting about it because they could do it now. And it just became everyone is posting about their digital PR success. So digital PR now is a hot topic because lots of other companies are doing it, but also posting about it because, we've done this campaign and then we landed links. And digital PR is everywhere now because it's a broad kind of service now that many people can offer. And I think I don't want to say, it's just because of us that they can offer it, but I think we made the information available, like the training, almost like our training system is available online. And I think we helped a large part of the SEO community to do digital PR. So that's what we've done. So Rise S7 made it sexy, and I think we kind of industrialized it. That's how I like to think about it.
Carrie at Rise S7 did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, she's the one in Europe that made it sexy, and then you've kind of managed to scale this out.
We managed to drive prices down considerably.
Yeah. So with regards to SEOs, or obviously it's not just SEOs, there's lots of big brands that are looking for it for more online presence. Within the link building business, you get so many frustrating clients. So I want to try and throw some questions to you of common misconceptions and questions that I know that pops up from a link building standpoint, and see whether any of these kind of flow into the same type of questions with a digital PR campaign. So if someone was to turn around to you and say, can you only provide us with do follows? I don't want the no follow backlinks or the unlinked mentions. Like, you do a guarantee of 8 to 12 links, I think it is. But out of them 8 to 12 links, does that include unlinked mentions, or is it has to be a link?
It has to be a link.
It has to be a link.
We don't count unlinked mentions. I always say unlinked mentions are great to show to your mom. She'll be very proud. Oh, Bibi, the BBC mentioned my son or daughter. But apart from your mom, it is going to have no SEO benefits. When we say frustrating, clients, I think clients are only frustrating because I have not educated them prior to becoming a client. So if the client comes up with potential client comes up with a question at the beginning of the interaction of the relationship before they paid, then it's on them, and they're not frustrating because we can just, we don't work together yet.
Yeah.
But if, let's say, a client joins and they start coming up with these questions that are frustrating, from our perspective, it's not the client's fault. And that's where I, feel guilty, because it means I was not a good communicator before they joined to inform them well.
Yeah.
And I take full responsibility. So for us, every time, there's a question that comes up in our client base saying like, well, we thought all the links are going to be like do follow. I'm not saying to the team, well, this client is, not good. I'm saying like, we are not good communicators at the initial stage of informing the client about granular, things such as, the links can be 50-50, do follow, no follow, or 70-30 or 30-70.
What's an interesting one is obviously we've got an in-house testing team, and we test a lot of different things for ranking websites within the algorithms that are working today. And in the last 18 months, the no-follow attribute has gained so much more power. It's so much more powerful. Yeah. Like, there's something that they've done in there. I think they actually came out saying, it classes now as being a hint.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure it doesn't pass page rank distribution or link juice and stuff through, but I would sooner now be getting a link, and even if it is no follow, from a digital PR campaign than a do follow DR60 guest post that doesn't get that much traffic and is debatable because they're linking out to every man and his dog. So like these no follows nowadays, the misconception of people always wanting do follow, a lot of the time I want some of these high DR no follows because they actually move the needle. And they're doing great. Have you seen that yourself?
Yeah, I've seen that indeed. And I think not just the link juice value, but also they build, EAT, they build trust. So we have, like BetMGM, right? One of our clients. We will not get them links about, online gambling consistently. But when we got them the link, it was like online casino experts from BetMGM, and then that was the text preceding the link, reveal, the best places for a night out in, America, or like the best dates for a night out. It's not about casinos, but the text, the paragraph containing the link it says about BetMGM, according to the online casino experts or like online betting experts, BetMGM, these are the stats. And, entrepreneur.com, would you not want a paragraph that's on entrepreneur.com mentioning you as being the expert in your field, even if the whole article is not just about, like betting? Like, of course you would want, because that builds EAT when Google picks up not just one, but every month it says, bad experts from Bad Kingdom, bad experts, sleep experts. That's what kind of works in tandem with, of course, guest blogs and everything else, but it just builds a different type of trust in Google's eyes.
Plus, all that is the ideation that you guys come up with that allows you to get those placements is key. So it's fine, people can learn from your training, but it's still the implementation of trying to do the outreach to the journalists and the reporters. The biggest part of it is the ideas to try and get those placements.
Yeah.
But back onto some of the questions, like, do any of them ask you a little bit like link velocity? Does people worry about like, but what happens if one of these links gets syndicated and I'm going to get picked up by 350 websites? Like what do you normally say to those? Obviously, I know that it's good, and we've had these discussions.
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday. Like the link velocity is more natural when it has spikes, because that's what a real company does. They do like, a PR about something that they've done, and they have massive spikes, and then they have a bit of a period of silence, and then again. That's more natural than having planned links every Friday at 2 p.m. going out, like every 2 days at 2:30 p.m. on different blogs. And it's like very structured. It's a pattern, right? Good link velocity is not like a pattern.
Yeah.
It's very random. It's not like planned, let's plan, 5 links on Monday, or like 5 weeks on this week, 5 weeks next week. It's way more natural.
Yeah, so getting 20 links per month, and they go, I'm not certain whether I can get another 10 links added to my already 20 links that I'm buying or acquiring or earning. Like you said, real businesses might not get any links for a month. Then they might go and get 600 because they might go and win an award that gets shared all over the place. New websites might go and go out and get listed in all local directories. So the first month they might get 600 backlinks and stuff. So it's very natural for real businesses to have the spikes up and down. And actually the way Googlebot works is that with having those spikes and stuff like that, the return more, instead of being 20 per month, it's good to not have the patterns than actually to have the patterns when people do talk about link velocity. There's times if people are getting 20 links per month, every so often I'm like, you need to give that a boost, like go and get a couple of hundred and then drop it back down to 20 and 10 and 5
create a
and 15.
natural pattern. It's something that, I didn't even think about until you mentioned it. Like, natural is not when you plan it in.
Yeah.
Natural is when it's very random.
So what about any clients asking you for, right, Fery, I want to be listed in the BBC or the Telegraph or the Daily Mail, and they want to try and dictate to you, like, obviously your ideation is in my opinion, is unbelievable. When you start realising how much time and effort goes into that part to get the placements. But what happens if someone came to you saying, I want you to write an article for best casino sites in the UK, and then I want BetMGM on there because I want it as a parasite SEO article or barnacle SEO article. What gets said there in those situations where they're wanting keywords in title, but that's not part of what proper digital PR is about? Yeah,
so our response depends on the stage of the collaboration with the client. So if they have paid the invoice already, again, and they joined and they expect that I accept full responsibility. If they expect that after, and I didn't inform them before, then I just say, if this is what you want, then I apologize. I did not inform you well, and I'm going to give you a refund if you are not happy with the way, we actually work. So if I did not inform the client exactly that he cannot expect that, and he paid and he got on board, then it means I failed at my job at selling the service the right way. Therefore, I just have to give them a refund. If I inform them initially, say, do you understand that this is not a brand promotion service or like not a price-ad SEO, but this is exactly this service? Well, we'll put you forward as a thought leader. We'll create, some insights that are kind of related to your niche, but it's not going to be exactly about your niche all the time in order to get consistent link velocity. And then if I explain to them very well at the beginning and they ask that, then we just say, like, let me just send you this little recording in the Zoom call when I said to you that that's exactly not what we do, therefore this is what we do, so we should move on with this approach that we talked about when you joined our company. So it depends, like it always comes down to how well you educate the client before they join. If I fail at that job, then I just give them a refund.
See, another one of the biggest key takeaways for me when I was speaking to you about the digital PR is, can you explain to the viewers, why do reporters and journalists need digital PR people like yourself to come and present these experts? Why can they not just write their opinion about this is how you sleep and stuff like that? Can you explain that to the viewers? Because I found this fascinating. I didn't actually realize this.
Journalists cannot have an expert opinion, even though they could share the same information, because they can just Google things. They can just Google lots of things and they can have, expert level information there, but they are not entitled to do that as a journalist.
Yeah.
They cannot have opinions or like biases or anything. They are journalists. They are reporting things that they have found out from others, and they put the others, who share the things in the article as being the expert. They cannot be quoting expert insights. So they need an expert whom they can actually introduce in their article. That's how journalism works.
Yeah.
So even though they would know the information about, the top, cities for a night out in wherever, and they could actually, do the research, that would make them, not a real journalist. A real journalist reports on some third party, like companies or experts, insights, and that's what journalism is. So journalists actually need experts. They need people who share tips and insights, whom they can quote as like being the experts. Because that's a real journalism.
So then what about with the digital PR service that you offer? Majority of the links that you manage to get on placements are very, very powerful sites. But what happens if someone just came along and says, I only want DR 70 plus links?
Yeah.
Obviously, naturally, you're going to get a mix of all sorts.
Yeah.
A lot of them are going to be high DR, but what happens if someone came, I only want DR 70?
Well, we just say like we cannot fulfill that demand. Now we have gotten better at explaining at the beginning. So you might have heard one of our sales meeting yesterday, and like I almost like pushed back with the clients initially, like, hey, the client yesterday said, how can we start? And I said, wait. Yeah. We don't start yet. let me elaborate some other things as well. So I didn't even let them get on board, and because I wanted to make sure I tell them what the service is. So if they come before they paid, we just say we cannot do that. These are our KPIs. This is what you can expect. At least 2 of the links will be this much. Most of the links are going to be like DR40 or more, but we cannot accommodate only do follow or only DR70 or whatever. It's going to be the most natural link profile that you can build, which consistently launching campaigns. They do create the most natural link profile long term, right? So if they say that before they joined, then we just say we cannot work together. You might have to look for another service. Or if they say we want DR70 after they joined, then I'm just going to share a little clip with them saying, no, this is not what you signed up for, because this is where you agreed that you understand exactly what I told you, and I told you this is the range of links. So I always tell them exactly what they will get. So hopefully they don't come up with these requests. We just say we cannot work together.
So completely now away from the clients to networking. So obviously me and yourself have shared a few masterminds together. How do you find the networking side of things and the masterminds, and do you think that's helped you? Do you enjoy attending the masterminds? I
think you have to make mastermind sexy, James. I think you have to do what Gary has done for digital PR. Masterminds don't get enough credit. people think, oh, mastermind, just somebody speaking. No, it's like mastermind, 6 people who are very good at something, each of them, sit at a table and they go around and share, their strengths, but also their problems.
Yeah.
And then all of the 6 people come together to resolve each person's problems. That you take a pen, you write it down. It's powerful. It's something that people don't realize how powerful that is when you sit down with other people who also have, problems, but who maybe most of the time also resolved some of the problems that you have, and they come with solutions. And by the way, it's like unrestricted, value that they share at that table. It's like, I've asked you things that, you would never share, out in the world, but when you're like, an intimate mastermind group, you are happy to share, all the things that you do to help the other person. It's magical. They should be more popular.
I think the biggest thing, so Kaz has set up the masterminders.com, and we're going to do it in a few different locations throughout the world. I think the next one's in Chiang Mai in November. From the feedback from the masterminders.com kind of meetup, which is one of the ones that you attended, is the main reason why people seem to like attending it is if someone's on stage at a conference and they're saying something that you was like, that was working 12 months ago, but Google's either patched it or it's not working as well. You can't call them out on stage. Where the good bit about in a mastermind, there's just 6 people there. And before anyone starts, it's like, if you are going to get offended in any way, leave the room because you're not in the right room. People are going to challenge you on everything of what you say. And that's what you want. You want to be challenged.
Open up the kind of worms.
But you can't do that on stage at a conference. This is why I feel the masterminds are better at times than the actual conference. And a lot of time people attach a private mastermind to a conference, and it's the real knowledge is shared within the mastermind groups where people can challenge you. And sometimes it's not even what you've picked up. It's somebody else's growth that you've seen and their failure, and you was going to be running into that exact same brick wall, and you was thinking, I'm 6 months off running into that same brick wall. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to deviate around this way. And some of it could be nothing to do with SEO or rankings or digital PR. It could be about staffing, cultivating the team, motivating the team, how to find new staff members and stuff like that. So I'm in complete of agreement with you with regards to the networking side. Are you going to try to attend other?
Oh, I want to. I want to. I absolutely. Like every time we'll go, let's say if we go to Chiang Mai, because I think I'll go to Chiang Mai, I'm the first person, sign me up there because I will be there.
Yeah. What about mentors? I get opportunities and investment ideas and I say yes to like, oh, this is a great idea. This is a great idea. And I kind of need sometimes in my life, I need a no man in my life. And sometimes it was Jason Ennis that was in one of my masterminds, and he says, you need to learn to say no. You want to be a good dad. You want to be a good businessman. You're taking too many things on in you. You're going to spread yourself too thin. Do you have any like lifestyle mentors, business mentors? Do you choose certain people for certain questions for you to try and bounce ideas from? Away from a mastermind, I'm on about like, could be for personal life or like you said, business mentorship or something.
I think for business mentorship, we just started working with somebody, his name is Lou. And every Thursday evening we have a meeting where we sit down and he opens up the kind of worms. Like, let's see some accounting there. Let's see some decisions. What are the plans? Do you have, a relationship with, some good banks? Why is this, group at this company not, producing revenue? Or like, what's happening? And then he asks me like, what are you going to do about it? Like, oh, you put me on the spotlight now. Like, do we just let it drift? And no, you cannot. Let's do something about it. So I have a person every Thursday. He's very experienced. He's worked with some other, names in the industry, and I'm blessed that I've, to have him, and I'm very grateful that we collaborate. And Michelle, our director of operations, is in the call as well, and we got more people involved in that call from the company. It's just when you feel like we should do something about this, but you just let it drag, and it just drags on too much, and then the person just slaps you in the face like, hey, let's look at this, because 6 months down the line there's danger if you don't take these actions. Like,
so with regards to that, like weaknesses, so I'm going to throw you under the bus here
I love it.
So I would say 2 weaknesses that I kind of see within you. From a customer's point of view, these would see it as being strengths because it makes them have a great experience and stuff. But perfectionist and control freak, wanting to make certain everything's perfect, which is great for customers, but for your own personal growth on search intelligence to get to another level and then to another level, at some point you need to let go and allow others to do it, even though they might not be able to do it as well as yourself. Don't get me wrong, I think almost everybody who starts out in their business journey want to hold on to their baby
everything
and stuff like that, and they become a perfectionist. And I think it's good to a certain degree, but then I think it does kind of start to provide a problem. There's one thing that we all lack in life, and that's time. And you can't, if you go and have 100 calls in a week, you physically can't do all the calls, as well as have Sundays off and be a great dad and do stuff. So are you going to try and work on anything to do with that?
Yeah, most of my time is now spent on sales calls. That's where I spend, big bulk of my week. By the way, it's 15 minutes only, like 20 minutes only, but the only gateway to, the only gate to come to work with us is through a meeting with me. I want to make sure we address all their problems. I want to make sure, as you said, like do follow, no follow, every question is being answered before they join, so that down the line, they don't, become unhappy. Make sure that even when you say 8 to 12 weeks timeline, we say it's an estimated timeline.
Yeah.
It can be more sometimes, it can be less, but make sure they understand all this. So this is kind of my job now, to get the clients, to understand, and then just, send them the invoice, and they join, and then the team takes care of the rest from their own words.
Yeah.
And they're really good. But I have to detach myself, as you said. I think this is why we're referring to don't want to let go. And I just had the same kind of discussion with Carl Kang as well in Vietnam, and I am aware I have to detach myself from it. So it would mean that maybe there's going to be only 50% or maybe even 20% conversion rate in terms of new inquiries versus new clients. Because now people know me as the social media kind of persona, and it's we resonate, or we always resonate with the new potential clients in the Zoom calls. But when they don't get to see me before they join, it's going to be a more difficult decision for them to kind of join us. So maybe 20%, but then again, that's scalable. So what do we have?
I think on there though, if your team do an amazing job, you've got so many amazing case studies. If you find another A player who's good at sales that doesn't overpromise, because I think that's very, very important, underpromise and overdeliver, and that's kind of what you do, they're still going to be getting the same service, the same amazing digital PR campaign at the same price, whether it's you doing the 20-minute call or somebody else. They're still selling the same deliverability, if you get what I mean. So they still need to make certain they're saying, oh, I can guarantee all DR90s, all do follow and all the rest of it. My vision statement is all about honest, trust and integrity. And I feel that's very, very, very important. And the 3 fundamentals of everything I try to make certain I do with investment or in any service that I provide is to come back to honest, trust and integrity. If you was to, you're right, I need to let go a little bit, how will you try to find that person that might not be as good as you at selling, but it's still the same deliverability of what you're doing? So I don't think it should drop that much.
Maybe not 20%. Maybe, drop to let's say what I sell is 100%, and it would be 60% or 70%, maybe.
Are you going to have them just shadowing you on everything that you do for a while to make certain that they live and breathe the way that you are, your energy, your enthusiasm, like you've said, honest, trust and integrity yourself? Everything's got to be under promise, over deliver. Are you going to try to get someone, if you are going to try to get someone that's going to be close to you, that watches exactly what you do?
Yeah, they would have to sit in the office with me and go through probably 100 sales, I don't call them sales calls. Yeah. I think they're the opposite of sales calls, because I'm trying to push clients back. Yeah. So it's not like a sales call.
But that's indirect selling. Sometimes that scarcity part of being you're pushing them back.
Oh no, I am. I'm I'm always are you sure you want to join us? Hey, this is what we do. Are you sure this is the right thing for you? I think that person would have to sit in 100 calls with me and just look at every question that clients are asking and make sure that they know how to answer them. And I might have to role play a lot with them and pretend to be the client or that client until I can feel that they have the same vibe, they have the same responses that I would expect them to have, and then maybe they can go and do the job. But I think this is definitely the way forward, because my time should be spent on developing systems in the studio, creating entertaining, educational content for the SEO world. That's what I should be doing, and of course in dev teams and creating software and processes for the operations and so on. So my time is not well spent when I'm in like 12-hour meetings with 20 potential clients in a day.
You are, in fact, the most creative person I've ever come across. Like
Thank you.
The way that the ideas of what you do, and you can see that and stem down to the rest of the team. Like, you are the most creative entrepreneur I have ever met, and you think outside the box. And I think that's what the comedy value of what you bring as well to it. You kind of putting what is a serious product in a serious market and making it funny, and being able to do that on places like LinkedIn and places like that it's amazing, to be honest with you.
It's a product that people spend, some of our invoices are like 120 grand invoices. Yeah. And they came to me because they've seen me with a funny wig on my head. They're like, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But, just creating something positive for the industry. I think the industry needs, even in the WhatsApp group, there was another, there was a guy on Twitter who was like, the guy who they mentioned.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much, negativity sometimes, not always, but there is some negativity out there. So we're trying to counter that with some positive, but also educational content where they don't just laugh, but they also get some jewel out of the laugh, some information that they can go and launch an idea of digital PR or do something. So combining these together, the world loves it, and it just puts us in a unique spot.
So to round things up, I want to kind of come to look at your aspirations. Like, where do you see yourself in potentially in a year or 2 years' time? Because you've had 10,000% growth in 3 years. You've gone from 2 staff to nearly 100 staff. You've got a huge studio here. You've got insane amount of technology and software. You've got 8 offices. Every office I walked into had a massive whiteboard, and I'm looking at the whiteboard and it's full of like manifestation of where you want to be next month and the month after. What can people expect to see or look out for with regards to Fery Kaszoni or Search Intelligence?
I always want to start when I have this question, we start with saying like, we can go bankrupt next month. That's also a possibility. And it's been a possibility ever since, like 2020 or whatever, since I started the business. So I don't want to, dismiss the fact that, business is a battlefield and you can die at any time. So hopefully not, but, we can go out of business anytime, just like, many other businesses. So we are not like, oh, we have made it now and we are unbeatable. Oh, yes, we are beatable, but the way we become continue to, not fail is hopefully through improving the service and improving everything that we do. So in 2 years' time, we want to be the monopoly in digital PR. I know this sounds like crazy and grandiose, but that's really my vision. You've seen on the board what it said: industrializing digital PR, become a monopoly in digital PR. So that's our intention: driving prices down and the service quality so much that it would make no sense for anyone to even now. I think we have one of the best prices in the world and a really good service when compared to everything else. So I think we are the leaders. There are some other really good companies, like all the other companies are great as well, but we want to be not just great but also great and cheap. So we want to be a monopoly in digital PR, and that's where all the investment, that's where all the thought, the brain power of the company goes, and that's our mission when we wake up. How can we monopolize this service so that nobody has any other option but to come to us, because we are so cheap and so effective and so consistent and so great, such a great quality service that there's no other option. So that's our goal. We are not perfect now. We have, sometimes, it happens, we forget about a client that they messaged us 2 weeks ago, and we forget to message them back out of the hundreds of clients that we have. Sometimes it happens, and we are working on, improving this, making sure these flows are being addressed and making sure we can deliver even in like faster timelines. So we have lots of things to work on, but eventually I think we are a very good service at a very good price. But we want to be not just the best service at the best price, but we want to be the monopoly.
Fery, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I want to make certain that you get either a tattoo or in your strapline. James Dooley says, I am the most creative entrepreneur I have ever met.
We'll pin it, we'll pin it in, on the website, as a testimonial. Thank you very much for, having me and for the great questions that you've asked.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.